Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Assalamu alaikum aspirants. The admins, I can see. Hi Fakia. And anyone who joins, kindly let me know if you could see the video and the audio clearly, and then I shall proceed accordingly. I just want someone to comment so that I could. Okay. Thank you, Heather. What about my audio? If you could hear my voice, then kindly tell me about that too so that I could proceed. And you have to excuse my cough because of the smog over here. Walaikum assalam to everyone who has joined. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So it's been quite some time that I had delivered a lecture over here, and sorry. Sure. I will issue a book for you, Fakia. Okay, so I will proceed with the session. As I was saying that it's been quite some time that I delivered my lecture. The last lectures that I delivered were on criminology. And so this session is basically a general query session. And I asked Arsalan to give me a time slot so that I could basically interact with the new aspirants. Because what's happening is that every month, every week, or every day, new aspirants, they are joining this group. And secondly, the main reason for conducting this session was that no matter for how long you're preparing for your civil services exams, or as a matter of fact, any exam, any competitive exam, you always need to know the basic guidelines, the basic queries. It is not important. It is not always the case that you are going to know about these things, despite the fact that what you are reading, what you're hearing, what you're searching from the internet. Because if your basics aren't strong, you are not well prepared. When you're not well prepared, you're going to see the repercussions when you're going to sit in the exams. So this is going to be an interactive sessions. I want you people to post down your questions in the comment section. Make sure they're detailed questions. No, every type of question will be entertained. It will be welcome. So it's all about you guys. As I've told you before, that it is an interactive session. So I will try to entertain as many questions as I could. And once you have posted a question, then kindly wait for your turn again. So we could basically create a stack. So if you just start typing, I'm waiting for your questions, and then we'll begin. Walaikum assalam, everyone. Walaikum assalam. So whatever questions you have, please post them, and slowly and gradually, we will build our momentum, and I will address your questions. Any question is welcome. Do not hesitate, because I know there are certain new students over here, new aspirants who have joined just recently. And if you have any queries, please. Okay, the first question we have from Heather Ali. He says, kindly tell us what is critical analysis. Well, critical analysis is basically, it has certain prerequisites before you go towards the critical analysis. Number one thing is that you need to know about that topic, the basic understanding, the general knowledge. Because if you do not have the basic knowledge about that, you cannot critically analyze it. Now, let me give you a very layman example about what critical analysis is. Let's suppose we're talking about this phone, right? So I want to critically analyze this phone. To do so, I need to know the different dimensions. I need to know this side, this side, this side, up, down. Overall, what we need to do is that we need to know about the topic from all the dimensions. Once we know that dimension, then comes the part 2 in critical analysis. That is that you need to see the positive sides and the negative sides as well. Once you have those sides, then comes the third step, where you are going to give your own analysis, because we are talking about analysis, and analysis is a personal perception. What you think about the topic, not what the authors think. You have just taken what the author said as your general knowledge, but at the end, when you're going to analyze it, critically analyze it, maybe from your perspective. So 3 steps. Number 1, you need to have the general knowledge of different dimensions. Number 2, you need to know the different sides, especially the positive and the negative side. And third, your analysis. What do you think about it? How do you see the topic out of the box? So critical analysis basically depends more upon your knowledge and your own perception and your own comprehension skills about that topic. Second, we have a question from Vikas. Sir, can you tell about theory application in IR? Okay, in international relationships, in international relations, when we're solving the paper, when you're trying to answer any question, let's suppose we are talking about the wave of terrorism in the South Asian region, or we are talking about the rise of populism in the European area, or as a matter of fact, let's talk about the decline of the neoliberal institutions, any topic related to the international relations. When you're going to be dealing with an international relations topic or a question, it's not that you just need to answer it straight away. Because if you're going to answer it straight away, what's going to happen is that you're going to be solving a current affairs question. There's going to be no difference. What separates IR is the theoretical perspective, the theories of IR. So when you're going to, let's suppose, talk about the decline of the neoliberal institutions in the West, you need to pick some theory. Are you looking at it from a realistic perspective, from a liberalism perspective, from a globalization's perspective, from which perspective? So the application of the theories of IR is that you need to use this tool of any theory, you need to put it as a box and then you need to answer it. It's not that you need to just straight away go about any current affairs topic and write it down. Because as I've said, if you're going to solve any international relations question without a theoretical perspective, without the help of a theory, then you're basically solving a current affairs question. And that's not the requirement of the IR. So you need to have very good understandings of the theories of IR. And whenever you're going to solve the question, paper 1 of IR, make sure that in almost not, if not in all, then in maximum questions, you're using some sort of a theory to basically back down your answer, to supplement your answer, to exemplify your answer. Okay. Samina has the next question. She says, can answers should be to the point that an exam or length matters? Well, look, you need to focus on quality. That's my modus operandi. Okay. Quantity comes with time. You need to know about the topic. Once you have a very good grasp of the topic or the knowledge, and I'm talking about quality, once you have the quality, quantity is going to subconsciously come in from your mind to your hands, and at the end you will be writing quantity. So do not go for quantity. Try to understand things. Try to build your basic knowledge. Try to build your basic understanding of a topic. That way you're going to be building quality. Once you're going to build quality, quantity is going to come to point. So my point, your question, answer to your question would be that write to the point. Do not write in length. Write to the point. Do not make blunders, because the examiners, you do not know about what they're thinking. So write to the point. Once you're going to write to the point, believe me, if you have a good written practice, length is not going to matter. Length is a secondary thing. Once you start your flow in writing, length comes with a gradual passage of time. So to the point, that's my answer. Sonia, Criminology, you are asking for a suggestion. Look, when I'm going to suggest, I always suggest that when you're studying criminology, or as a matter of fact, any subject, or let's talk about criminology, okay? Use a hybrid approach. Now, what is a hybrid approach? Hybrid approach is that you're going to be using books and you're going to be using the internet. For book, I'm going to recommend the book that I use, but that does not mean that this is like the optimal book or the best one that you need to use. I use the book by Samuel Hassan Rana, or Rana Samuel Hassan, by JWT. So the thing is that read certain topics from that book. Those topics you do not understand, use the internet. Try to Google it. Try to look for articles. Try to look for publications. Try to look for different websites which are solely dedicated to criminology or criminal justice system. So have a hybrid approach. I would suggest this, because we're living in the age of information. And yes, book is important. 50% book, 50% the help of internet. Next question we have from Muhammad. He says, please tell us about paper size, lines, etc. Sir. Okay, you need to write very clear. Make sure that you do not have a bad writing. If you have a bad writing, well, you cannot improve it at this period of the time. So what you do, if you have a bad writing, write there should be a considerable amount of space between your words, so that at least in some way you could make it presentable. Try to make margins if you could. And I used to write around 5 to 6 words. The aim is overall that you need to present a very neat answer. The examiner won't like any cuts, any circling of the answers, and all that. Make it very presentable. Try to write few words in a line which are of good length. They are not too compressed, not too lengthy, optimal size, and with optimal spaces and neat. Try not make sure that you have such a writing practice that you're not crossing, you're not cutting. Crossing is allowed. I mean, everyone make mistake, but not that in one paragraph you have 10 crosses. So make sure that you have a very clear and a good presentation of your answers. Fatma Nisar, I will come back to your critical answer. As I've said before that I'm going to answer all the questions first, and then in the end I will answer those questions which were asked first. Okay, we have a question by Atia. She says, I have listened to your every lecture of criminology, and when will you share a video on paper attempting technique? In December, actually, I have a very busy schedule over here. And inshallah, yes, I have to deliver that lecture about paper attempting technique for criminology. I will give that lecture soon enough because we are also caught up over here, but inshallah soon. We have another question with Samina. She says, answer should be to the point or the length matter. And the other question is how to tackle MCQs portion. I have, Samina, I have answered the first part of your question about the length. And as for the MCQs portion, it is all cramming. Okay. For example, Islamiyat, current affairs, Pak affairs, all just try to get hold of all the MCQs that you got. I know some of the people, they don't like cramming. Even I didn't like cramming, but this is not an option for us. Just try to cram as many MCQs as you can, especially of current affair, Pak MCQs, and etc. So there, and then of course you are studying logically. Out of 20, you might know 4 to 5 questions based on your own general knowledge. But the remaining 14, 15, they literally depend on your cramming skills as well. I'll be really brutally honest about that. Hello everyone. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Sir, what are the we have a question from Chaudhry Tahir. What are the best books for criminology? I've already answered that. Ali Arsalan, when to wind up study and start revision? Well, try to make sure that you are done in mid-December. Your entire study is done in mid-December or maximum in December, so that in January you are doing revision, and writing. January is a deadline, but I would recommend that by mid-December make sure that your course is complete so that you revise it. More you're going to revise it, more it is going to help you, because remember, in the last 3 days you have 6 papers, 2 papers per day, which means that you will not have any time to basically go through your notes and take around hour or hour and a half. You need to revise it again and again so that when you see your paper within a flash, you know, okay, what's written. So in a matter of like 15 to 20 seconds, 15 to 20 minutes, you could revise your subject. So more you're going to revise, more you're going to build the habit where you are going to just give it a flash and know it. So revision means that. So by mid-December, I would recommend to complete it. We have a question from Hayat Farma. Sir, critical कैसे करते हैं किसी भी topic का? Hayat, I have given that I have already addressed the critical analysis one. Mani Yusuf Zada, does CGPA or division matter? And no. Your CGPA nothing. It's entire 1200 numbers or marks of your written exam. Nothing else. It's all your written examination and your interview numbers. So focus on your examination. We have a question for Waqas Afridi. How you did revision right before the paper? Well, I used to do revision like after every 1.5 or 2 months. And because of that, I used to know what I had written. So I did revision for like around 5 to 6 times. So that was the number of revisions I did, and like 2 to 3 times just before examination. So as many times you could revise, it is the best thing. That's what I would recommend. We have a question. Hayat, I have already answered your question. In the end, kindly repost your question so that I will answer that. I'm trying to answer those questions in a stack of people who are coming new. So if you have your question, post it again. In the end, I will address it. We have a question from Hira Yusuf. Assalamu alaikum. Please guide how to prepare current affairs. Will you recommend buying Noah Sarfarid note or any book for the subject? Well, for current affairs, um, it's a diverse preparation. Don't, I mean, I won't say buy one book. Current affairs, they're changing every month, every week. So if you're going to buy a book that is 3 months old and you are preparing it after 3 months, so current affairs, the entire subject or the entire meaning of the subject is gone. So it is all fresh. So have the main topics in your head that what's going around in the world and keep an update on those topics. And then, yes, Sir Farid's book for your basic understanding, for your general knowledge is good, and his notes are excellent. When I started current affair, I bought his book, and it helped me to basically grasp the idea that how to go about. Because what he does is that he really beautifully bifurcates all the topics, and then you get to know that what is the gist of the current affair, what is the gist of how to divide the topics. So for your basic understanding, for the basic pillars, his notes are good. But then again, I would say that every month current affairs is about what's happening in the world right now. So make sure that you have your hands on current publication, current articles, newspaper, and all that. It's prepared through that. We have a question from Heather. Any authentic source for research articles, as there are plethora of articles coming up on the Google? Well, for research articles, definitely I cannot say yes. There are many. There are tons of articles out there, but then again, it really depends on topic you are. And just pick 2 or 3 websites which are credible websites which have authenticated sources, and just pick those websites and go for them. We have a very important question by Mohammed Tosif. Sir, how can we deal with depression? This is the question that I'm going to address in the very last. This is depression, anxiety, pressure, and all that. This is a good question. I will address it in the end. Your 2018 attempt essay topic, should we go for descriptive essay or argumentative? My topic was Cpac, and the reason I went for that was because I was not good at very literature based topics or philosophical based topics. I was good with facts, and I wanted to write facts. That's why I went for Cpac. It all depends on your writing practice. Do not believe what I am saying that go for descriptive or argumentative. Look at your writing, how you're writing. Your teachers are going to tell you how you write. So it all depends upon your writing. It all depends upon your mind. I cannot stay over here and say that Vakas go for descriptive, because I do not know how Vakas writes. I do not know how good you write your descriptive essays or argumentative essays. So it's all upon your writing basically. We have a question by Hira Asim. Sir, thesis statement is necessary for all the subjects or just for the essay? For the essay, it is recommended that when you're making the outline, do write the thesis statement as well. But as for the other subjects, it is not necessary. But if you write it, it's a very good thing. The examiner gets to have a flavor before reading your answer that where you're about to go. So that is a good thing. It is a plus point. But it does not mean that if you're not going to write it, you're going to be negatively marked. But for essay, I would recommend writing it. We have a question from Hania. How can we get through General Sensibility Paper without having science background? It does not matter if you have a science background or not. There is a very basic understanding. So when you're going to pick any topic, it is not just Google it. Google, like for example, we are talking about earthquakes, right? Earthquakes for kids. Like there's no embarrassment in that. Like earthquake for kids, and you're going to have like tons of searches which are going to be dealing with the fact that how they are teaching earthquake as if you were a kid. So just get the basic understanding of the main topics of the general science and ability. Maths is going to be tricky in a sense. You only need practice. Understand the concepts onto the very core and then practice them. Apart from that, just try to know what every topic is, what earthquakes are, what is biological sciences, what are natural sciences, what are physical sciences, and all that. Just get a basic idea of all the main topics, and do not worry about that. It is not that hard. Focus on your maths. It's a 40 number portion, so practice that, and that is going to be your savior. We have a question from Noshaba. Which newspaper and magazines to consult? For magazines, I would there for current affairs there is JWT, World Times, and all that. Very good magazines. For newspaper, I used to read The Nation and Dawn. They are good newspaper. Umar bin Tahir has a question. My English grammar, vocabulary, and writing skills are average, if not very good. Also, I have never been among students who memorize things and always think and write in paper with existing knowledge. I have studied all the subject, understand. It's a very big question. Quantity and quantity. Where is your question? Umair bin Tahir, I'm so sorry. Like, it's a very big question. If you could just concise it and write it again, because I have many other questions. But if I am able to complete them in time, I will read your entire comment. So, in if you could make a pressy of it. It's just your test, okay? It's an online test. Make a pressy of your own comment. Sorry for that. I told you to write it in description. I'm sorry for that. But then again, we are running against time. So if you could just write a precise. For flowchart diagrams, we have a question where how to draw flowchart diagrams in current affairs or Pak affairs. It's a very simple thing. In current affairs and Pak affairs, memorize the Pakistan map, memorize the world map. That's it. Those are your diagrams. Those are your charts. For example, let's talk about Cpac. You're describing Cpac. Now, if you're going to know about the world chart, then you're going to show that how China has made an alternative route because there was this South China Sea and how it passes through all those states and from the Indian Ocean and Pakistan and all that. So for Pak affairs and current affairs, memorize the world map, memorize the Pakistan's map. And then whenever you're reading any current affair or Pak affair topic, look at the country where it is. You're talking about Middle East. Let's say you're talking about the Arab Spring. So you should know the map of the Middle East, and then you should know where Syria is. You should know where is Yemen is, where Libya is. So just make a rough. It is not that you need to be a sketch artist. You just need to make a rough diagram and then show it. So current affair and Pak affairs, it's mostly about your maps. The question is that if the essay is argumentative, should you touch both the arguments or just one argument? No. For around 90% of your essay, go with the argument that you have chosen. In the 10% or in the 5%, you could just write one paragraph in which you can show the other side as well. But in essay, go with the argument that you have chosen. Do not make two arguments in parallel. We have a question that Baki subjects may be sentence structure or English grammar matter karti hai. Absolutely. You need to be very good in your grammar, in your sentence structure, because if you read the examiner report of 2018, 17 or 16, even the other subjects apart from English, essay or Pressy, they were saying that the sentence structures were very poor. People were making punctuation mistakes. So make sure that you're creating good sentence structure in other subjects as well. We have a question from Bacha Khan. Sir, if one book have 200 marks and in this group one book of 100 marks like geology, then what we can select? Bacha Khan, I couldn't understand your question. Your book 200 marks and 100 marks. If you could please rephrase it. I'm sorry. I couldn't get a hold of it. We have a question from Mcqs Afridi. Is it good to write outlines for each and every question in all subjects? Look at your writing speed. Now listen to me carefully. Look at your writing speed. When you're going to be seated in the exam, you're going to be in a race with the clock. So if you have a very good writing speed, if you write good number of words in minute or etc., and if you think that with writing an outline, you could also write the required length, go for an outline. It's a positive thing. It is going to give the examiner a prereq that where you're going to head. It is going to make his or her mind. It's a good thing. But then again, if you have a good writing speed, you think that with the outline, you could also attempt the entire question, and then you have to attempt 4 questions, then go for the outline. Else, do not take the risk. No, Shaba, I have discussed about the MCQs one in the earlier part. We have the question from Hania. Biggest mistake in essay paper while writing essay by aspirants, as we see DMC. Please share do's and don'ts according to your experience. Well, the very foremost rules are that you need to have good sentence structures. You need to have good sentence structures. Do not make vocabulary mistake. Do not make punctuation mistakes, because these are basic mistakes which basically detract your examiner. So this is like the very basic thing where do not make the basic mistakes. Make sure your tenses are all right. Your sentence structure is all right. And second mistake is that not going with the topic. You select a topic, you're not writing on that topic. Third thing, cohesion and coherence. Your essay is not in one connectivity. You're talking about one thing, and after 3 or 4 paragraphs you're talking about other things. So there is no cohesion, there is no coherence, there is no unity. Number 4, try to make some flavors. Try to have a good writing style, try to have an attractive writing style. And number 5, try to follow the techniques of the structure of essay. I have given my first lecture on this group was on English essay structure. Try to listen to that lecture 1 of essay structure and follow that. So these 5 things are like the basic things. You need to go with them, and then the rest matters upon your knowledge. Atiya Ruj, I cannot suggest any current and park affair topics for CSS 2020 because I have not been in touch with the current affairs. So I wouldn't do any justice if I do that. I'm sorry for that, because since the last 1.5 years, I've been into a very different trajectory. So I haven't kept up to date over here in Civil Services Academy. We do not even have time to read the newspaper. We literally sometimes do not know what's happening out there. So I'm sorry, I cannot suggest any topics at this moment. Bacha Khan, try to have a group study. If you cannot understand anything on your own, try to have a friend, try to have a group of friends or a teacher. Use the help of your peers or your teachers. That is the best thing. Use someone's help if you're not able to comprehend it alone. So we have a question from Hassan. How did you manage to get high score in criminology? What should be the strategy? Well, for criminology, just like as previously said about IR, I use theoretical frameworks when we're talking about crime, as I've mentioned in my criminology series of lectures. I used theoretical frameworks, I used statistical references, and perhaps it was the third year of criminology as well. So it was going on average. And then I referred to Pakistan a lot. I knew about the Pakistani crime environment and all. So these 3 things combined, I think that contributed to my high score. We have a question from Mani Yusufzada. Sir, current affairs need critical analysis. Where should I make my concept clear for that particular topic from all dimensions? Okay, for example, let's pick a topic. Let's pick again Cpac, so that most of you could understand. How to understand the different dimensions of Cpac? Number 1, what is Cpac? Okay, what are the stakeholders of Cpac? What are the positive sides of Cpac? What are the criticisms? What are the negative sides of Cpac? What are you doing is that you are understanding the topic from all dimensions. For example, Cpac, we are told that Cpac is like the life-changing project of Pakistani landscape and all that, economic landscape. What if you are asked that, okay, what are the negative points of Cpac? You won't know. But if you were to write on the positive aspects of Cpac, you would write like 5 to 6 pages. But if I ask you that what are the negative impacts of Cpac on Pakistan, what are you going to do? So the critical analysis from multiple dimension means that you need to study the topic from all dimensions. The positive side, the negative side, the applied side, the prerequisite side, the proactive approach, the preemptive approach, and all that. So it is a diverse study basically. For English Pressy paper, there is no book. You just go for the composition paper, as many papers as you can find, and just solve them. Just solve those papers, get them checked. This is the best thing for Pressy, that according to me, but this is not a universal rule, but according to me, the best rule is that you need to solve the essay Pressy and then get it checked by a teacher. That is the best approach. But if you want to know the generics, then go for other books. For example, the Oxford or Cambridge will talk about how to summarize the passages, or how to solve the composition part, and etc. But apart from that, the first approach that I've told you is the best one. We have a question, sir. ऐसे को attempt करने का तरीका भी बता दे, comprehension outline कैसे लिखें? Hayat Fatma, I have given first lecture, a very detailed lecture on essay, its structure, how to create an outline, how to make an outline, and everything. It is a very detailed lecture. Try to find that in the files section, you will find it. What type of questions we should attempt? Knowledge-based, social constraint theory, or open street crimes in Pakistan? Whatever you have a good understanding in. Vikas, remember, there is no hard and fast rule. Attempt those questions in which you are good in. For example, you're talking about social constraint theory. If you know what social constraint theory is, if you know its applied side, then go for it. If you know the social constraint theory from the Pakistani perspective with examples, go for it. If you know the street crimes in Pakistan, their nature, the statistical data, you know how the police is working, you know how the crimes are going, then go for it. It all depends upon your knowledge. I would just require a 5-minute break so that I could connect my charger, because over here the charger, it hasn't been connected. Just give me 5 minutes, okay? I will be back. Unfortunately, I couldn't connect the charger because something wrong. I was trying it before as well. So I will just take like 3 to 4 questions, and then I will try to conclude it, and we'll have another session as well. Don't worry about that. I will try to answer the questions of those people who haven't been answered. For the most of you guys have answered your 2 to 3 questions. So please, I'm sorry for that. I'm just trying to entertain the newcomers. Fihasha, Fihasha, how answers should be written to get maximum marks? Does the strategy vary from subject to subject? Do keywords in absolutely strategy matters a lot, but keywords, you need to have the jargon of that subject. You need to know the indigenous jargon, the indigenous vocabulary of that subject, and use that. And the strategy is like not much different. For example, certain answers which require you to add diagram, do add diagrams. Certain questions which require you to have a statistical reference, do give the references. Certain questions which require you to have your own analysis, give your own analysis. So it all depends upon your strategy as well. Okay, Omer, I have studied almost 2 to 3 months, but I eventually forgot. Umair, I want your precise answer, or maybe I could answer you on your message. I know you. I am confused about whether to take a risk in the knowledge and opinion. Umair, if it's your first attempt, go for it. You have 3 attempts, okay? There's a reason that they have 3 attempts. If it's your first attempt, go for it. Do not hesitate. Every knowledge is enough. Everyone who's studying, they have a very good knowledge. It's all about your written practice. So your written practice is going to be questioned over here, not your knowledge. You're studying 11 to 12 subjects. So there is no question whether you have a lack of knowledge, you have low knowledge or high knowledge. It all depends upon your writing practice. But if it is your first chance, go for it. Do not hesitate, because once you're in it, go for it. Do not back out. Shahbaz Ali, please give some tricks and tips to tackle CSS essay. Is it mandatory? Shahbaz Ali, I've given you like the basic guidelines that you need to follow when you're writing essay in like 6 to 7 questions back. Just follow those. Those are the basic guidelines. Because we are just trying to pass the essay. If not pass the essay, also get good marks. But just follow the general guidelines that I have mentioned before. And how to get maximum marks in gender and sociology. References, diagrams, flowcharts, and try to give examples from Pakistan. When you're studying gender studies or sociology, we are referring to Pakistan. So these 3 things, they are going to help you to get marks. Okay, guys, I have tried to answer as many questions as I could, and in the last, I would try to address some of the very important things, uh, because as one of the aspirants told us, he asked about depression and all that. So I will try to address those questions, and I hope I just tried to give as many answers as I could. And do not worry, I will come again. Do give your feedback. Do give your feedback, because based on your feedback, I will arrange a next lecture. So Arsalan would post it, and then in the comments, do share how you felt about this lecture, what was missing, what needs to be added, and etc. Okay, so yes, the most important thing. At this point of time, you're going to be under stress, anxiety, maybe depression. That's totally normal. Do not be afraid of that. Same was the case with me. Same was the case with everyone over here in the CSA. This is natural. This is like a natural psychology of a human, that because you are about to go for something big, and when you're about to go something for big, it is a natural response. So if you're not feeling depressed, if you're not feeling anxious or you're stressed, then basically you're not normal, because you're not normal. So it is a very normal feeling. So how to deal with it? Number one, if it is trying to getting on your nerve, try to change your routine. For example, if you're staying in your home or in library for the entire day for 12 to 14 hours, then try to stay there for 10 hours, go for 1 or 2 hours out with your friends. I know it is not like something you would be expecting for me to tell out, but like take it easy. So change your routine. Number one, how to deal with it is change your routine, because when your routine gets monotonous, you basically get bored. When you get bored, you become anxious. When you become anxious, it turns into depression, etc. So change your routine. Okay. Number two, try to socialize as much as you can. It's with your family, not with your friends, with your family. Try to socialize with them as much as you can. And then third is just try to get closer to your religion. These are like the basic thing, but do not worry. Do not worry about these things. Change your routine, socialize with your family, try to get close to your religion. It is a very normal thing that most of us experience. It is nothing new with you, which is happening with you. Everyone gets stressed. I used to get stressed. I was unable to sleep for the first night before my essay, and I was hell out of scared. I was like scared to my bones. I was unable to get a good sleep. I was like afraid and anxious. So it is a totally normal thing. Just do not let it get over here. Try to remember why you are giving your CSS. Try write it down on a piece of paper, your motivation. This goes out for everyone. Try to write down that why are you over here in the first place, and then paste it on your wall, or take a picture and put it as a wallpaper in your laptop or in your mobile, and look at it every day. Remember that motivation, remember that reason, that why you doing this, and just help your way to get out of it. Secondly, I would like to say is that try to write as much as you can. Once you will be done with your revision, remember for the 9 days, what you are doing is that you're writing and writing and writing. It is not your oral test, it is not your interview, it is your written examination. And what does written examination means? You need to write. So if you have a clear head and if you have a good writing power, you have a good writing practice, then what's going to happen eventually is that you're going to create good answers. And that's what you need, because the 1200 marks are your written marks. So make sure that you're writing as much as you can, because it is not about accumulating the knowledge up in your head. It is also about, once that knowledge is accumulated in your head, how are you going to reproduce that through your own hand? So that is important. So write as much as you can. Once you will be done in mid-December or at max at the end of December, in January, just attempt questions, write essays, solve past papers, get it checked. All those 30 days or 40 days approximately, you should be writing, 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 and writing. Because in the end, it is not about studying. You will be studying, of course, about current affairs and all, because I've told you they change. But apart from other subjects, writing, revision, writing, and etc. And lastly, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid of what's going to happen, because it's such a high probability. You never know what's going to happen. So do not put your mind, or do not put the stress of your mind on the fact that even you cannot know what's going to happen. No one knows what's going to happen in the future. Can you take a guarantee? Can I take a guarantee? No, absolutely not. So why we should basically waste our energies on something that we do not know? That's a very logical question for you guys. Do think about it. Why should you waste your energy on something that no one knows about? So just stay relaxed. You have done whatever you can. I have seen your questions, and I've seen how you people are joining the live sessions, how you're asking the questions. I can feel your energy. I can feel the fact that how you guys are so much involved into it. You're concerned into it. And that's what's needed. You have the motivation within you. You have the charm. You have the spark within you. So that's a very good thing. Keep that, maintain that, stay relaxed. Just try to make your present better. What you're doing today, what you did today, how much you worked hard today, because you have the luxury of today, you have the luxury of present, you do not have the luxury of future. But when you're going to make sure that the luxury of present is perfectly satisfied, if not perfectly, then optimally satisfied by you, your hard work, your consistency, then your future is going to shape its own self. So that is really important. So with this, I would like to end my session. Thank you for bearing me. Thank you for bearing my answers. And then again, in the end, I would like to say that these are my own personal experiences. It is not that you have to follow these things in a hard and fast rule. Try to get as many perspectives as you can. This was my perspective. And do give your feedback, because based on that, I will try to conduct the next session. And best of luck to everyone. If you have any other queries, then you know how to reach. And again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this live session. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your journey, all of your journeys easy, and bless them with bounty and his blissfulness. Thank you, Jazakallah, and Allah Hafiz.